I'm Traci Harding. Welcome to Writing Your Reality. And this week I'm going to be talking to you about what to do when you finish writing a book. When you've typed the end, what do you do from there? How do you get it published? Here's some ideas, not just from me, but some other authors as well. Enjoy. The very first thing you should do is sit down and read your entire tale out loud. It's funny how faults in the wording reveal themselves when read aloud, especially dialogue. If you can get some close friends or family to take this journey with you, then all the better. Reading out loud to people, you discover whether the gags are going off as expected, if the suspense is killing the reader as hoped, and so on. You'll also learn who the most popular characters are and why, what the listener wants to happen, and who they want more of. And most importantly, you'll learn what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, where the story rocks along perfectly and where it drags and seems to go on forever without anything happening. This may be a joyous and a painful process, but it is an all-important experience in order to deal with the next stage of your story's development. For how shall you deal with feedback from an assessor if you can't deal with the feedback of your close friends and family? The assessor might hate your work, and only a second opinion will save you from tossing that manuscript in the bin. Perhaps your family and friends won't understand, and yet an assessor may see the brilliance. You just never can tell. But as an artist, it's good to get many opinions on your work, especially if it's your first major work. All this information will be invaluable when the time comes to edit. The standard layout is full A4 size pages, double line space text, printed on one side of the paper only if you're submitting on paper. Don't worry about the thickness of the package. My first script was 1,000 pages long before the editing started. Ian Irvine had to send his first manuscript to our agent in a box. I also like to justify all the text so it looks neat and balanced. I would suggest binding your script in some fashion, either with binding or a good strong clip, or in a folder. Don't forget to put your name, date and copyright in the footer of all the pages, and make sure that each page is numbered in case your binding falls apart. It's very important to send your manuscript to a professional assessor who will ensure your manuscript is in good shape to present to author agents, if an agent is the way you want to go, and I absolutely recommend that route. A professional assessment is absolutely essential for those of you who want to get your work to a publisher without going through an agent. The thumbs up from a professional assessor will get you a look in with the publishers, who will not read any manuscript that has not come through an assessor or an agent. I didn't take that route, so I can't really say much about it, but I know authors who have. Professional assessment is also a must for those who wish to self-publish. If you need to find a list of recommended assessors, publishers or agents in Australia, try the AWG, the Australian Writers Guild, or the ASA, the Australian Society of Authors. Agents are the very best way to get published with an established conventional publishing house, in my opinion. Every author has a different story about how he or she found their agent. Mine found me before I'd even started looking. Some have found agents via writers' organisations like the AWG and the ASA. Some can be found in the yellow pages under literary agents. Agents will charge anything between 10 to 20% of your earnings, but as I always say, 80 to 90% of something is better than 100% of nothing. You don't get charged until you earn, which is great when you're starting out. Never send a manuscript to any major publisher if it has not first been professionally assessed or read by an agent who is willing to pitch it for you. Publishers will not read your manuscript simply because they don't have the time or resources. As far as they are concerned, if it's not good enough to have been picked up by an agent or recommended by an assessor, then they've got other manuscripts that have been endorsed as having potential, and those scripts are the ones that will get looked at. Self-publishing is an avenue I have yet to explore, so I spoke to a couple of authors who have self-published, and here are their recommendations and advice.
Was it an easy process?
No. But once you've done it once, it's easy after that. And it depends who you do it with. If you do it with someone like Smashwords or Amazon CreateSpace, the process is very, very simple. Yeah. But if you want to do it properly, you go with someone like Ingram Spark and get proper fonts, proper layout, proper covers, and do it right. And if you're going to do something, like, I think you should do it right.
You got any recommendations for hard copy?
Well, since Amazon CreateSpace does not ship to Australia, you cannot get author copies. So at the moment, either Lulu, which don't do very nice books and they don't do standard formats for bookstores, absolutely Ingram Spark is the only way to go. Yep.
Yeah, is that what you were going to say?
I was going to add, look, as a comic book artist, my standards and requirements are probably a bit different to Kylie's, but Lulu has just got a new service called Lulu Express, and my biggest problem with them is that even though their quality is better, their shipping is really expensive. So for now, I still say stick with Ingram Spark, because I do recommend them, particularly if you're doing black and white work in comics. Colour, it depends. I think they can use some improvement there, but the quality is decent for what you pay.
Yes.
Yeah.
With publication, how did you guys get published?
So we self-published for about 3 years, and so we wanted to treat ourselves like real publishers, and as a result, we got our unit costs down, and we made a lot of money in our first 3 years of self-publishing. And then we had the publishers start approaching us, and we signed with Hachette Australia, which was an experience. We learned a lot from that, but we found that we made more money being independent, and so we actually got out of that contract.
Yeah, we asked for our rights back from that one, because we just we do it better ourselves.
Yeah, and so when you're trying to make a living from your writing, being independent is certainly a good way to do that.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to do like a hybrid kind of thing where you have some of your books self-published, where you make your money, you're able to go to the supernovas and pay for it and stuff like that, as well as having your foot in the door of the traditional publishing world, where you get noticed and all that.
So again, for people that are out there who are thinking about self-publishing, who did you go through?
Midland Typesetters did the typesetting, so they do Brother Band, Ranger's Apprentice, all of that, and we print through Griffin Press.
Whatever you decide to do with your finished manuscript, remember how much time you put into writing it, and be sure to take that little extra time to polish it up properly before sending it out into the world. That way you'll know, while you're waiting for feedback from an agent or from a publisher, that you gave your story its very best shot at publication. I hope you found all that information helpful, and I think that this is the last of this writing series for the moment. I may pick it up and do another series a bit later on, but that kind of gives you the basics of writing and what to do with it afterwards, how to get started, how to finish off, all that stuff. I've kind of covered it now, so I hope you've enjoyed the series. I will continue to blog about the books and other things. Don't forget to pick up the notes from my Patreon page, and if you feel so inclined, you could sponsor me on Patreon, or just like, share and subscribe to these videos. That helps as well. Have a lovely time writing. I wish you all the best. If you need a private mentor session with me, you can find them over on my site. And I'm really, really happy to talk to you about your projects. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.